Welcome to the Retail Reality Show.
Welcome to another episode of the Retail Reality Show. Summer is starting here in Germany, and I'm very excited for our guest today. But before we talk to Felix, hello, Yael. How are you doing after Shop Talk?
I'm good, Nino. How are you? It's been a while.
Yeah. So as I said, summer is starting. I already got a little bit of a tan, and I have to work on it over the next few weeks.
Here in Tel Aviv, it's already like it's a sauna here.
It's a sauna, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, over here right now it's 30 degrees, so it's starting to be a sauna. As I said, I'm excited. We have a very interesting guest today. We have Felix Weber from OBI. Felix is the head of innovation at OBI, and I'm really glad you made it, Felix. Maybe you want to quickly introduce yourself and give us your too long don't read. What are you doing at OBI and where are you coming from?
Yeah, thank you very much, Nino and Yael, for the opportunity to have a chat with you today. My name is Felix Weber. I'm working as head of innovation, as said, at OBI Group Holding, and my second job is I'm MD of OBI Squared Venture Capital. And, my background is not from retail. I'm coming out of finance. I worked as an investment banking professional and then somehow slipped into venture capital years ago. And this somehow maybe describes the way I'm looking at innovation and how to innovate the best way. Now
there are worse places to slip into, so you know.
Absolutely.
That's interesting. That's why I was really looking forward to this conversation, because if you look at innovation, and not every company is obviously thinking the same about innovation, but many times this is kind of the crazy people in a lab, and they have a completely different disjointed working style, and they do everything else than the rest of the company. But there's always this big question mark. ROI.
Where does it going?
Yeah. Well, are we? I mean, it's fine to run fast and fail fast, but at some point, it's not just enough to have learnings, but also actually things that make it to a productive state, especially in retail, where the margins are low and you don't have the deep pockets of a tech company to innovate and try out and forget about the learnings. So I would be interested, before we get a little bit to this innovation topic, zooming in on the DIY space. I'm a builder myself, so I love to build. My favorite things to build with is wood. I have a fully fledged workbench in my home, and ever since I'm a very passionate home worker, as we say in Germany. But when I look at the typical and average DIY market, not talking just about OBI, but in general, if I hit the website or if I look at the newsletter and the communication, I'm thinking in projects and things to solve. And then there's this other reality, just talking a little bit black and white. There's the product catalog on the web, and you have many products. And if you're not a skilled builder, you need help. And then you have the skilled and trained people in a DIY market, and OBI has many of them. So that's my perception a little bit of the reality. And then there are players that who are doing it already really well. I think OBI is doing already a really good job in looking at things not just through a product lens, and this is a hammer and this is a nail, but this is rather what you can do with it. Yeah, I want to build a treehouse for my kids, or I want to redo my bathroom. Yeah, so, and that's also what I saw, and from our previous discussions, Felix, that's exactly the path you're going to, moving from selling a product to solving a project at the customer's home or the apartment. So maybe is that a good and fair assumption? Is that where the industry is in general heading?
I don't know whether the whole industry is heading the same way, but at least OBI decided to take this way and to engage into the transformation from selling products to solving projects. And what's the reason why? So on the one hand, we're a household brand in Germany. I guess 96% of the population knows the brand. Our goal is to become the number one destination for home and garden in Europe. So, and this is not isolated to the do-it-yourself space, but also on the whole customer journey, and irrespective of the touch point, like the POS or the web shop, or the customer needs curation, the customer needs a solution. And when you, for example, renovate a home, it's a super complex journey, and it's not repeated within the next years. So you'll have no reference point, and you'll be very happy to have a partner on your side, which is able to cover your whole customer journey, from customer acquisition to inspiration to the offer of materials, which is our retail DNA in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But also, if you see, okay, this is something I can't handle myself, and I need support from a professional, that you have the chance to keep in our customer journey end to end.
Mm-hmm. I think,
and of course, maybe one additional thing. This is super interesting for us as well, because projects like those have enormous customer lifetime values.
I agree.
So it's not about I want to build a shelf. It's about I want to renovate my living room, and as part of that, I'm building a new library, and then on top of the shelf you need lighting, and you need a lot of things to connect, and it might be too complicated for a person that doesn't have the right maybe education or skills or whatever to plan this and execute on their own.
Yes, of course. And what you just mentioned is, let's say, the small kind of do-it-for-me project that it's still somehow connected or mixed between do-it-yourself and do-it-for-me. So maybe you buy the color or the paint or whatever the material at one of our stores, and maybe ask someone to assist you in installing or using the product in your home. But we're also talking about complex products like a heat pump, like a PV system, which you're surely not able to do it in your do-it-yourself mode. So you need to have a professional to assist you in that project.
Mm-hmm.
And we try to assist our customer in order to provide him support with local craftsmen, with expertise, with digital planning advice, and so on.
Mm-hmm. So
and of course, this is in the age of the agentic world. This is a serious firewall against sole product sellers, like retailers, like online platforms, and so on.
Yeah, makes total sense. And I think that's also the very strong differentiation that I see, because you can actually execute. And I think that's an interesting aspect. Do it yourself, DIY. That's basically the category. But what you just said is also do it for me. So my question would be, when does a traditional Baumarkt, as we know it today, stop being a Baumarkt? Because it's not just a place where you get products, but to your point, get your not just the PV panel, but also the installer in the same shop. Or
I guess we will never stop being a Baumarkt. We will. I guess this is something like the gist of our DNA, and where everything else is being built around. But reasons for that are competition is getting harder. Like FMCG retailers are entering our product space. Pure digital players like Amazon are into power tools and stuff since ages, and are gaining more and more market share. And of course, if competition is rising, you need to somehow think of how the business is going on in the future. And we are one of the market leaders, and this is what we want to be in the future as well. And so we need to think beyond the traditional retail.
So would you say
Nokia was also a market leader once. So
yeah,
Yeah,
you're
this
right.
is something like the definition of the black swan event. Yeah, and this is the point as well that black swan events like COVID, like Iran crisis, like Ukraine and whatever, are more and more and have always some kind of impact on the willingness, the consumer's willingness to spend their money. And if they're afraid, they tend to buy food rather than things for their homes.
I like the idea, and also, would you confirm or agree if I say OBI will transition from a DIY where I can buy products to kind of a operating system from my home?
Yeah, our goal is to become a platform to serve all your needs in the context of home and garden in Europe.
And getting there, what would you say are the biggest friction points? Because I can imagine all of the DIY players in that category wants to become somehow an operating system.
One of the biggest roadblocks is if you want to serve customers with services, not in a specific region, but in a country like Germany or in Europe as a continent, you always need solutions that are able to scale. And a craftsman can't be scaled all over the country. So you need scalable solutions. And this is one thing we are working on since years. We're in a good way. But this is one of the challenges, to find solutions for the customers that scale.
Speaking of challenges, and I know we're getting ahead of the agenda here, but Felix, would you be able to share with us one personal challenge that you've had, as part of your work in OB, leading innovation, or maybe in a different role from before, but something that you were struggling with, but then found the solution, and what can we learn from that?
I guess one thing which I'm from time to time struggling with is that the do-it-yourself mentality is at OBI. You can feel it everywhere. So irrespective of where you look at how the company wants to innovate, there is always a tendency to build things on their own. As said, I come from
That's the DNA, right?
That's the DNA, and I come from a different school of thoughts, from some kind of external idea of innovation. Multiple reasons for which we can easily discuss for hours about. But my tendencies or my belief is that the market is always more efficient than a single company, for example. And this is one friction, and I had I've discussions around that topic since my start 3 years ago.
Where does this challenge meet you on a personal level?
It doesn't meet me on a personal level. But those are ongoing discussions we do have at OBI, how to innovate or to compare internal solutions versus external solutions. And maybe when I joined OBI 3 years ago, there was some kind of innovation lab ongoing, which was closed after some time, and then I took over the responsibility for innovation within OBI.
And that's probably also a good angle, or another angle. I think your session at Shop Talk was also something like operating models for innovation. And to my point earlier, that would be an angle that I'm very interested in. How do you see innovation that is actually scaling and working? And because to my point earlier, you don't have infinite money like a tech company. At some point, there needs to be an ROI, and either you acquire a company and innovate that way. There's also evidence at OBI. We can talk about that later. But there's also this organic innovation where you, as a company, sit together in hackathons, or you bring the best ideas and realize them. So maybe can you share a little bit how do you think you can innovate without creating this zoo of innovation that never makes it to any reality?
Yeah, of course, Nino. Thank you. Yeah, but I think the first thing is that innovation at the very end needs to be relevant and needs to solve problems and need to serve. I think this is an idea which should be a central one, that innovation serves the company goals. So there are transformation issues and there are topics that need to be solved, and we should serve this strategic route. And therefore, I'm very happy that innovation at OBI is situated in the CEO office as part of group strategies. So we are not.
Which is not. It's not very typical, right?
No, that's not very common. Normally, it's somehow a standalone unit which is considering or thinking of funky ideas, solutions, whatever. There's always the challenge that ideas that come out of such kind of lab might not meet the real problems of a company.
Mm-hmm.
So innovation, in my mind, is not something that should be nice or whatever. Innovation is work. It's 20% inspiration and 80% adoption and processes. So as I said on Shop Talk, real innovation is boring
because it's process and it's actually bringing those good ideas on the shop floor.
Yeah, exactly, and adoption of external technologies is in the first instance discussions with legal, with IT security, with those kind of procurement, those kind of stakeholders that need to be somehow involved in these innovation processes, which I guess most of the people don't think of when they hear the word innovation.
Yeah, but it's a necessary part of the process. But there are also fun areas about innovation, like building the business case and getting everyone in the organization excited.
Yeah, of course, and in our case, of course, it's nice to see the solution or what you've done in 400 stores across Germany. That's amazing.
When if I maybe zoom out a little bit and let's say you have a pool of projects or things you have to do, some of them are maybe core to your DNA of DIY. So you would say, hey, those are unique selling propositions of OBI. We will never source them on the market. We build them on our own. So and then there are others where you say, hey, for sure, market is more efficient. We buy them from the market because it's faster. We don't have to maintain, support, and so on. Maybe can you give us a little bit of your mental model, how to decide what to outsource versus what to build yourself?
I guess as a corporate, you need to consider what is your real asset. So where is your participation absolute key? And this might be pretty radical, but when I look at our own company, our key assets is our customer, the customer insights, of course, the stores, and the ability to serve the customer and the brand. And everything else might be subject to discussion. And while I'm a big fan of external innovation, so maybe one of three words. What I mean when I say external innovation, this is to my mind, it's on the one hand, it's investing in startup companies. This is always a necessary step when you want to develop something together with a startup. When both partners do invest into a common idea. It can be the venture clienting, processes like that you simply work together with a startup. We just started, for example, a cooperation with a company from Tel Aviv in order to change the audio in our stores. You can have M&A involved in order to get innovation into your company, but the background is somehow always the same. It's the belief that the time to market is way better than rather you innovate internally. Startups and companies that are on the outside always have to focus on the customer needs rather than the stakeholder needs, which you somehow always need to serve when you do it internally. You outsource development risk. So we can look into solutions, or we can invest into solutions once there is a product market fit, for example. These are the main points why internal innovation might be not the right way to bring innovation into the company.
Felix, you talked about how you need to understand if the time to market will be better if you're doing it with an external company rather than developing internally. But there is also another angle. If you develop the solution internally, that means that you still need to support the solution moving forward, right? And the market changes, requirements change, technologies change. And this basically, if a company decides to develop those solutions themselves, they kind of become a little bit of a tech company in addition to being a retailer. And for some companies, this model works, but not for everyone.
Yeah, exactly. If you're a tech company, this makes sense. But if you're a retailer, it doesn't make sense, to my mind. And if you, of course, you have to maintain, you have to, and you always have to adapt to the changing customer need. And of course, there are. This might be interesting if tech is the core of your business, but if you're a retailer, to my mind, it doesn't make sense.
And if I recap maybe the last couple of years from my tech in my tech world, I think that's exactly what I saw. You have different types of businesses. So you have the tech native companies where they would say, hey, yeah, we have our digital is core of our DNA. So there are things like a marketplace. Of course, we build the marketplace engine ourselves because this is the differentiating element. But then there are others where they have built up a very big development and engineering domain, and they started to build everything from scratch, where I also question, and I see less of those in these days, where I would say margins get squeezed, and also the economical situation is not that good, and therefore the business model of retailers is anyway in danger and a little bit squeezed. That's exactly my perception. There was also change, if I recap that in the last couple of years.
And there is, as we all know, there is a big discussion around vibe coding, and that big SaaS companies might lose their domain and stuff. And of course, this is my opinion on this is that vibe coding, of course, is super interesting, and that people can get involved more into programming tasks or in somehow solving their problems or whatever. But at the end of the day, that I really doubt that big companies would vibe code their ERP system or whatever, because this is such a serious risk. This all needs to be maintained. It's about compliance. It's about legal topics and so on. I would doubt that in the near future we will see that companies somehow will vibe code their really important engines and processes their own.
Yeah. When I look again on innovation, we just discussed this innovation in-house. You build things yourself, and we discuss what is maybe a good fit or a less good fit, and you also invest in the market in startups, but you also acquire startups. I think OBI and in your function, you were one of the key decision makers at OBI Square to acquire 42 Watt, like the solar or PV system company that is installing PV and photovoltaic and heat pumps. maybe can you talk a little bit about that? What was your motivation to buy such a company in times where they discuss kind of the subsidization of photovoltaic?
Yeah, I guess one of 42 Watt was my first investment when I joined OBI in 2023. So we had a minority stake in the company, and this is somehow how such kind of journey can start. So I was sitting in the board, I was discussing with the management, I was discussing with the other investors, and there were headwinds, political headwinds, that the subsidy landscape was quickly changing, and they had to pivot their business model and forth and back and forth. And at the end of the day, they decided to become a general constructor for energetic renovation of private homes, which of course is, as discussed in the very beginning of our talk, something like a must-win battle for us. This is super complex. This is a situation a customer only will figure out once or maybe twice in his lifetime. And you need to have a partner on your side who's carrying out these jobs. And in that case, we decided to acquire the company in order to serve the customer with an really end-to-end solution from the acquisition of the customer in the very beginning until you get the invoice for your job. It's wholly owned by OVI, and we have full control over the whole journey and the product we serve the customer with.
How do you measure ROI on such an investment?
I guess the ROI of the investment itself is not that important, because it's not an investment anymore. It's an acquisition. It's part of the group. We can talk about revenue contribution or EBITDA contribution. I think that's about the discussion. We have a significant higher customer lifetime value. You acquire the customer once, and you carry out up to 6 different renovation jobs with him, and those are the KPIs that really count.
Like bathroom renovation, PV, heat pump installation, all of those things that
Yeah,
continue.
exactly. That's PV, that's a heat pump, that's the wall box, that's but even beyond, with each and every task you carry out at the customer's home, you get more insights about its home. You build trust, and if those jobs work well, the customer, you become the first the go-to guy for each and every topic which maybe comes after, like garden or whatever.
So basically, if I listen to that and zoom out, it's a data play. So you have to make sure you store somewhere what this customer is about to do, and ideally that's core, that you figure or don't miss the trigger when a customer starts, I don't know, researching on a portal like I don't know, ImmoScout, real estate portal to buy a home, and then they have the home, they have to renovate it. So they probably go to OBI and research the project content space, where they read through articles, another trigger, or heat pump installation, if you buy an EV, and so on. Is that correct?
Absolutely. The more you know about the customer needs, the more you know about the situation he has at home, or the more you know about his family situation, whatever, the better you can serve him. And I think the main point is you need to get the earliest as possible into the journeys. So you need to have good information about what your customer is about to do in the future.
And then, I think this might also be where AI can come in handy. And Felix, you mentioned agentic
Of course.
AI earlier, and I know we've had a discussion about some of those things. But AI can, from helping you predict which project the customer might need to start, through product discovery, through making your supply chains more efficient. All of those things can be, I wouldn't say completely solved, but at least become much more efficient with the help of AI.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you talk about if you talk about project assistance with AI, this can be amazingly added with AI topics. For example, if the AI which is installed somehow in our platform can store all the information. You can have a large language model which reminds what the customer ever did with you in the past, or what he somehow which information he gave you, for example, where he's situated, what situation he has. When you remind him of, hey, you built something like heat pump last year, did you already consider to do your annual service or whatever? This gives you, on the one hand, your best position to serve the customer with the next project, but also it brings you more and more into the situation that you're the go-to guy for all related tasks, and it gives you, of course, when you look at our goals, it gives you multiple ideas how to do upsellings or how to optimize the customer lifetime value of your customer.
So it's basically the context that you're just describing that gets very important, especially in such a world where we have a lot of implicit and explicit data points. As a customer browsing your website, clicking an email, but at the same time also transacting or giving you explicit information. Hey, I have a house, I have 2 bathrooms, 3 bedrooms. I wanna renovate that. But when you, let's say, zooming a little bit out of this context and very technical discussion, where do you think AI creates the greatest value in this DIY category? Is it inspiration? Is it planning, discovery, advice, transaction, and basket discovery? What do you think?
I guess the biggest point in AI with regards to our product category is serving the customer thoroughly from really end to end. That this is something like your 3 a.m. Employee that you can call him anytime. He can say, he can tell you, okay, did you already consider to did you you can do it your own, but we can also help you in finding a craftsman to carry out this job. It's you can do really a playful planning of your projects, which makes fun. And in nowadays, if you from time to time work together with craftsmen at your own house, you're calling them, they don't come, they come late, they don't carry out the job how you want it to be. You need to talk to multiple of them in order to get the best price, and this can easily be managed by an agent.
Yeah,
and
like
of
a
course,
personal project manager for the
exactly.
consumer.
Exactly. This can be a project manager. This can also be an advisor. Your wingman or woman in order to see your dreams fulfilled in home and garden. And by the way, this is one of the things which 42 Watt, for example, is already carrying out. It also serves the craftsmen due to the fact that they don't have to. 42 Watt is standardizing data information, how the situation at the customer's house looks like, and they just go out to do the installations. So they don't have to write invoices. They don't have to do all this administrative stuff around the installation. You make them way more efficient, and they can carry out more installation jobs, which most of the time they're really happy about.
Yeah, because it makes them more money.
Of course,
but
their revenue is better, and you have better jobs.
Right. And how does this translate into, I mean, OBI has, I think, around 400 stores in Germany alone, right? And then another 300 outside of Germany. How does all of that translate into the physical store as well?
We are now about to transfer this dude for me project topic into our stores since 1 or 2 years, and so you're able to when you hit the OBI store, you get a connection to the respective colleagues helping you with your do it for me projects as well.
And
we have showrooms. You can do something like your bathroom, like your kitchen. This is the traditional do it for me thing we are doing since years, but also in the near future you will figure out like store-in-store solutions from 42 watt, for example, in order to do your energetic renovation. And of course, if you have a brand like OBI, the customer has more trust in an external digital first partner rather than hitting any random startup company.
And if you stick with that example, a physical store, you said it, you have the trained people who know how to plan, they know their tools, they also know the products. My question would be, could AI make those people more efficient or more capable, better serve, or enable them to better serve the customer for the project context? Because the customer journey is big. It starts in areas where they typically don't know that the customer was. They don't know what the customer has done on the website or has clicked an email yesterday evening or built a wish list maybe. Yeah? Maybe in your case, they know the wish list. But could you comment a little bit on that? Could AI make those experts more capable?
Yes, of course, because if you create a really seamless journey between the different touch points a customer has, and normally we have a tremendous amount of visitors on our website, and the majority of that traffic is about research, it's about inspiration, it's about availability, price, whatever. And then the typical customer journey is that they come to our stores, and of course, if you're able to somehow transfer the knowledge you've gained on the digital end to via CRM or whatever to the physical part of the journey, it's a plus for all people involved into that project. Our colleagues are able to way more that they are able to serve the customer better because they have deeper knowledge about what it's all about on the customer end, and the customer doesn't have to repeat the things he's already researched on your website again and again. And this could lead to store shopping agents that answer questions, that bring you to your shelf, that serve you with alternative products, that ask you questions whether you've considered certain aspects. They can, and this all assists our employees in the store.
So if we could maybe wrap up with one more question. Innovation often includes, what not to do. It's not just about what to do, because you can't do everything. Is there something that you made a decision not to follow, and that decision proved important or proved to be wrong even?
I think the first questions, or the most important question, is if the innovation you may be thinking of does move the needle. Does it serve your strategic goals? And of course, we already I can tell you exactly what, of course, at the moment for now, but there were things where we had some kind of learning at the end, but it was limited to learning. And I think there was one very interesting thing in the course of the panel. I had a job talk that one panelist said the most important thing about innovation is that you have a kill team, that you have people that are just about
Killing ideas.
Just to kill ideas, because if you're involved into innovation, there's always the threat that you fall in love with certain ideas, and that this somehow, maybe in the very end, doesn't meet your strategic goals anymore because you're in love with that idea, and it's
Instead
therefore
of being in love with the problem that you're trying to solve.
Exactly. Or that you like the founder, or that you like the solution for whatever reason, but you somehow come away from solving the issue or the that you should do. And therefore, she said the most important thing about innovation is having a kill team. I really like this idea, and I remind this sentence very well.
I can see a job posting on LinkedIn hiring
Kill team
for
member.
yeah.
Join OBI for killing ideas. That sounds very martial.
Exactly.
Felix, last
But it's
question.
important.
Yeah, I think we are at the almost at the end. Last question we always ask every of our guests. If you have one advice you want to give your CEO or any CEO in this DIY category, what would this advice be?
Innovation is not only on the customer end; it's also on your processes, and that I think the most important thing we are facing in the very near future, especially when we're considering agentic topics, it's all about data. You have to have your data ready, and the second thing is that you need to change your processes in order to serve the market standard, and not the other way around like in the past, and that you get your IT and your tech API ready. Maybe those are two things that are really, really important maybe in the near future.
I would even say MCP ready or A2A ready or whatever protocol comes
whatever.
up.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And I think agentic commerce in the future is, to my mind, is some kind of process, or might be a process as well, that you need to. It's no magic. It's. I think we will see that you need to take certain steps in order to be agentic commerce ready. But I think the biggest thing in this journey is data. Have your data ready.
Context, as it's called in the age of AI. And I mean, that brings me to a really good idea. Maybe we can have another follow-up podcast on that. Innovation in the age of agentic AI, yeah? Because innovation or agentic AI is supposed to do everything for you, and one prompt, and you can innovate from the prompt to the working prototype in no time, I would say. I think that has a lot of implications on traditional innovation processes. But I saved that question I have for our deep dive with Felix Weber in our next podcast. Thank you, Felix. That was a really good discussion. I learned a lot. Thank you for your time.
Same here. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you very much, Yael. Thank you, Nino. It was a real pleasure meeting you this way.
Cool. Thank you. And
we're looking forward.
See you hopefully in our innovation deep dive.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.